these critical minerals, especially rare earths, which go into permanent magnets, are critical in the West because they go to all modern technology, your drones, your iPhones, your Bose speakers that you wear on your head. Those all take permanent magnets. But also, very importantly, all plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles need 3 to 5 kilograms per vehicle of permanent magnets, and the main component for permanent magnets are the rare earths.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is George Bennett. He is the CEO of Rainbow Rare Earths. And George, it's good to see you again. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Yourself?
Good, good, good. So the company has some your results, and let's start there. It's a great place to begin. You're pretty happy with what you're seeing. These are interim results, right, George?
Yeah, they're typical interim results of a development company. We cashed up till completion of our definitive or bankable feasibility study at the end of this year. We've got a typical going concern statement that you see of all junior mining development companies. So there are no surprises there. But very importantly, as I said, we are on target to complete our definitive feasibility study by the end of this year, and we cashed up until that point.
There's been a lot of talk in North America about rare earths and the importance of it, and you can see that with the new administration in the United States specifically. So, give me some thoughts, George, on why such critical minerals are so important in the West.
Well, these critical minerals, especially rare earths, which go into permanent magnets, are critical in the West because they go to all modern technology, your drones, your iPhones, your Bose speakers that you wear on your head. Those all take permanent magnets. But also, very importantly, all plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles need 3 to 5 kilograms per vehicle of permanent magnets, and the main component for permanent magnets are the rare earths. These are neodymium, praseodymium, dysprosium, and terbium. Plus, we also see wind turbines require a huge amount of permanent magnets requiring rare earths. And then your new frontier which is going to explode in the next decade, which is robotics, humanoid robotics, and eVTOLs, electrical, vertical, and takeoff landing vehicles. In other words, air taxis. These are new frontier of demand for rare earths, critical to the green revolution and critical to modern tech going forward. And with the heightened geopolitical tensions between Russia, China, the US, and with this tariff war that we're seeing, we know that the Chinese have weaponized rare earths before, and there's a very real chance they'll weaponize rare earths again, the export of these critical minerals, because they control 95% of the downstream processing and about 80% of primary mine production of rare earths.
Yeah. Why do you think that your project was singled out? I mean, obviously it's strategic, it's rare earth, but a $50 million investment you received from the US DFC is a pretty sizable one. So obviously they feel there's something there.
Yeah, well, this project, as you say, was singled out again on CNN about 10 days ago on the Amanpour primetime TV show, but basically just highlighting this US investment into this Phalaborwa project in South Africa. The reason why it's because it's a very, very green project. We're taking rare earths out of waste phosphogypsum, which is a result of phosphoric acid production in South Africa. And very importantly, we've got a very high margin business. It's the highest margin rare earth business in development today. Our EBITDA margin sits at over 75% as per our feasibility study. And even if we're in production today, we'd still be making significant EBITDA per annum, circa $65 million at the low price in the rare cycle. So it shows our project is resilient to Chinese pricing because the Chinese generally control the pricing of these rare earths. So going forward, as we see rare earth prices strengthening, not only would we be present in the current pricing environment, we'd be very profitable, I should say, in the current pricing environment. Going forward, with increasing rare earth prices forecast by all the forecasters, we will be extremely profitable, and this is attractive for the US government.
Let's get an update on where the project's at and the piloting work. You've moved that now to Johannesburg, is that right?
Correct. We moved the back-end pilot separation work from Florida to Mintech in Johannesburg in our own laboratory. We're now in control of our own pilot plant, and also we've developed a state-of-the-art laboratory to drive our test work program. So at the moment, we're looking at optimization of our front-end leach process, which already was very efficient. But after completion of the economic assessment that we published, updated economic assessment that we published in December last year, we've seen further opportunity to optimize our flow sheet from a CapEx and OpEx point of view, which very excites us, and we should have some announcements on that optimization out very soon. And then also we are going down the track of doing the separation ourselves and achieving 99.5% purity of the 4 permanent magnet rare earth oxides that we are targeting in our project. And that work is going very, very well, and we'll have good results coming out of that work to announce quite soon. We're also on target to complete our definitive feasibility study by the end of 2025, and that's on track, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, just a few things you're working on. It's very busy, I know that. George, tell me how Phalaborwa can play a part in sort of that independent supply chain that I know everyone's talked about in North America and really around the world.
Yeah, as I said, we are going to be producing circa 2,000 tons of these 4 key permanent magnet rare earths. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a very high value product. And that makes us about a third of the size of Lynas, the biggest producer in Australia. And the fact that we intend to sell this product into all the aligned Western countries, in other words, North America and Western Europe and South Korea or Japan. So we're very aligned to try and create this independent supply chain. And the fact that we're so resilient in the rare earth pricing cycle at the moment means that we will survive and we will go into production. So we will be a key player in the strategic supply chain that the US and the West is trying to build outside of China.
Absolutely. George, thanks so much for the update. Really appreciate it. I know you got a lot of eyes on the project right now and lots of work to do. So we thank you for your time and getting us up to date with where you're at.
And thanks for having me once again. Good evening.
All right. Yeah, George Bennett, the CEO of Rainbow Rare Earths.